Yeah, Jackie and I were just reminiscing about the time when she was growing up and when she left Hong Kong when World War II opened and the Japanese were invaded Hong Kong and they had to leave Hong Kong to go to Macau. So can you
Yes.
explain to us what happened?
After a time when they had invaded, had come in, and they were quite, principally they were quite friendly. In fact, they came into the house when they heard Nunu playing the piano, and they wanted to listen to some music. And we had to invite them in. And then after a while, the Canadians came, the battle for, the officers from the Canadian came and started a fight in the area nearby in the main street opposite our house. And after, say, about a couple of months, in January, we were told we were able, as British subjects, to go to Macau as refugees, and a boat was waiting for us. So I think it was about in January that we left. And I remember driving Claudette's pram with a clock, the house clock in it. All the way to the wharf, which wasn't too far from where we lived.
Nunu was with you too.
And Nunu was with us, yes.
And our father.
My parents.
No, Auntie. My mother was there.
Yeah, but Auntie Elisa was there.
But our father stayed behind.
He stayed behind for a bit, yeah. And a ship was waiting, and when we arrived, it was a small boat, small ship. And we had no cabins or anything like that to sleep in. We were sitting on the floor. It was carpeted. I remember that because I was only 9.
9. You were 9 because I wasn't born yet.
Yes, and it didn't take long when we arrived in Macau. Is that all?
Yeah, and then we went straight to Bela Vista, or we stayed with the aunt?
No, we didn't. We stayed. We were shown in with some people well, I think some members of the refugee camp came to help us, showed us to a camp, a refugee camp, and we first were allowed. We saw some beds, lots of beds, lined up, and we were asked to just pick out our beds, right? And we were doing that, and I remember Auntie Elvira doing that too with Gida and Olivia.
Yeah.
And we were doing that when suddenly some relatives of my parents, my mother and Auntie Elvira, turned up at the camp and said, "No, you're going to be with us for a while. You're going to live in our house for a while." We were taken out of that refugee center and taken to their house in the center of town, and it was a large home near. In fact, it was very near the government center, next door to it, really. And we were given. It had about 3 floors to it. We were told to go to enter, but we had to enter by the basement way, up the stairs to the kitchen side, and we had several rooms, 3 rooms, I think, for each family. Auntie Alvira's, Gida and Olivia, Auntie Rennie, and ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie Rennie with Lilo and Elga.
Yeah, and all that. And we each had a room to ourselves for the rest of the time, for a bit, And we weren't too happy with it because they were very formal, and there were 3 aunts, Their mother, who was very old, was sitting in a wheelchair, I think, I remember, and 2 sisters. The elder sister was terribly, very, very posh and, very, very offensive sometimes.
They weren't used to children.
They weren't used to us, no, not at all. And we weren't allowed into their area, their living room or dining room. We would just stay where we were and had our meals there in the room and everything. And that's all I remember.
And then how long before you were, then you went to Bela Vista?
Fortunately, after a while, there was a well. I remember there was a well down in the garden down below where we could be allowed a bath each. Sometimes when we were allowed, we weren't allowed a bath every day. And then after about I can't remember how long, we had my dad said we were allowed to go into the Bela Vista Hotel,
right?
With a room for each family, and we ended up there.
And there at that time, that was, and then Daddy came.
Yes,
Daddy came to Macau.
Arrived, yes,
so,
and
it was Daddy, Mom, Nuno, you, and Claudette, the baby.
The baby. Yes, and the baby.
My mother was pregnant with me.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
And all of them
all in one
room.
Hotel room.
Yes, but then
with a bathroom attached.
Remember, Auntie Gita's Uli and Auntie Elvira
had to go to the ladies' room
because they didn't have the
dance hall, which was the dance area, the dance hall area of the hotel for the ladies and unmarried women, right. Unmarried ladies.
And so my father invited them to use our bathroom.
Oh yes, and there was always
so there was 8 people.
There were 8 people
in one bathroom. Yeah.
And there were times when this was Gita was in her age of being very fancy and and a young girl by then, and she was having trouble with my father, who was trying to get into the bathroom, and she wouldn't be ready, and there was a lot of nonsense there.
There's a lot of people, 8 people in one bathroom.
That's right. Yeah, I remember times like that when they were shouting and being angry with her. Anyway, this went on for I grew up there till I was 12.
4 years.
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then in the meantime, and 6 months later, I was born.
That's right.
And there were 9 of us.
Jeannette was born. And us young girls, well, there was something the young men had to do was buy the bread in early mornings of about 6 in the morning, bring up basket, not trucks, but bags of bread for the whole area. And us young girls, our job was to pick up the amount of rice that we were allowed each family, and start to clean the rice, take out the what you call it,
the kernels.
The kernels.
Then they take the kernel from the husk.
That we cut, yes, from the kernels from the husk for the rice. Our job was that, the 12-year-olds or the 13-year-olds, and we also had a little garden down in the street, not in the street, in the backyard. From the backyard, we had a little patch each where we could grow tomatoes and what was it? Some vegetables, and ducks that we could raise ducks.
And my mother told me that it was very difficult to have eggs. So how did you get your eggs?
I don't remember that. I don't remember that very much.
Because the eggs was very precious.
I see.
When we got the eggs, it was like one egg for several people, and then she would take the eggshells.
We would eat the ducks. I remember that, because we wouldn't. We when they killed the ducks, we wouldn't eat. As children, wouldn't eat the ducks that we were raising
because you were playing with them.
Yeah.
And this lasted for how long?
For about 4 years.
But during that time, my mother had another baby.
That's right. Yes, that's Tina.
Yeah,
Tina.
So now we were 9 in that one room.
Yeah. And there was one we went to school. Did we go to school?
Yeah. Yes, we went to school.
We went to school, and we had classes, and there was one time when sometimes we would catch a disease like sarna. What's sarna?
Scurvy?
Sarna, little bumps on your feet.
Oh, yeah.
You know, pickles, not tickles.
Blisters.
Blisters all over your foot, you know, all along. I would have to miss school for that. I remember that too. Being very ill and not being able to go to school.
But then, do you remember the time when one of the American airplanes?
Oh yes, but that was much later. That was towards the end.
Yeah,
it was the fourth year, and we were sleeping out us ladies were sleeping out along the verandas in our cots, and suddenly planes would fly past. The American planes would be flying past, and we knew that was the end of the war.
And then
that's it.
And then after that,
I can't remember. I really can't remember how I got. We were back we went back home after a while.
We went back. I don't remember, but my mother told me that we went back. We were in Kowloon.
Yes, but in a ship? No, not in a ship. In a what's the Chinese name for a boat?
Junk.
In a junk. That's right.
We went back. And
but my father had gone first, and he had found a house for us. That's right. By that time, I was 13, right. Almost 13.
And my mother told me that we could go to a area where they were giving food.
That's right.
For the refugees.
For the refugees, yes.
Big cans of butter. In those big green cans.
That's right.
See, I remember that. I was 4 years old.
I don't remember. I don't remember that at all.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, time went back to normal.
Then this house had. Yes, we went back to normal. We started school again, French convent school. I started school. We had Amos coming back from. They were past Amos, you know. They had been working for us before the war. They turned up.
They came back.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that memory
with us. Not at all. It was lovely.
Okay. Thank you.
Let's turn it off.